morning, we are born again. What we do today is what matters the most. On that note, I, Dr. Nidhi Srivastava, Associate Professor, IIEBM, wishes you a wonderful morning and welcome you all for one more really exciting session of Hands-On, Plugs-On and Minds-On, an IIEBM Original Directive Home lecture series. Before introducing the guest, again, as usual, the flow of the presentation will be 1 hour will be the session, first 40 minutes will be the knowledge sharing, and rest 20 minutes will be question and answer. Your question and answer will be addressed at the end of the session, which you can type during the session in the chat box. Someone has rightly said, knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength, but mastering yourself is true power. And our today's guest is reflection of the same. She will talk on personality development and knowledge management. So let me introduce Ms. Ragini Shinde. Ms. Ragini is an adept learning and development professional. She is very passionate about creating and delivering positive learning solutions for businesses and its people. She likes to enable individuals to learn, improve, innovate, and grow, and the organization flourishes as a result. Ms. Ragini holds a BSc degree in Residential Space Design Management from SNDT College of Home Science. She has also completed an online graduate instructional design certificate program from University of Wisconsin-Stubb in 2014 to further her understanding and add value to her job in the field of learning and development. She began her career as an English language, communication, and culture trainer at Emphasis, supporting Australian and UK processes. She then joined Eton University as part of the Community Program Office, supporting the knowledge management activities at Eton. In this role, she was responsible for finding ways for individuals, sometimes tacit knowledge and learning, to be cascaded and shared within the organization effectively, while engaging employees to ideate, strategize, innovate systematically over a virtual collaborative platform across several functions and geographies. She then moved on to take up the role of an instructional designer within the design and development team of Eton University, where she became responsible for creating learning materials and resources based on instructional theory, helping close skills, knowledge, information, appropriate resources, tools, and technologies after conducting training needs analysis. Her most recent job was an instructional designer at Luke Cutenho Holistic Healing Systems, where she designed learning content for in-person workshops conducted in various cities throughout the country. So without taking much time, let us start this session. And like the IIEBM, we say, let knowledge prevail. And we have Ms. Ragini live with us from Philippines. Over to you, Ms. Ragini.
Well, good morning, and thank you for the introduction, Dr. Nidhi. It's an absolute pleasure that I can present and speak to all of you today and share my understanding based on my experiences on the topics of personality development and knowledge management. Now, while each of these subjects on their own are pretty vast, theoretically, I have put together today's presentation keeping in mind that the takeaways for you should be in the context of corporate or workplace settings that you will soon find yourself in about 2 years from now or so. So let's begin. Now, listed on this slide, as you can see, is our agenda for today. We will talk about what personality is and what affects it, as well as
Ragini, have you started the screen share, or you will now start? We are not able to see the presentation.
Okay, let me just...
Yeah.
It asked me earlier for my camera and...
Yeah. Just try now. Yeah, now it is on.
Is it visible now?
Yes, you are on the first slide.
The
Personality
agenda slide. The agenda slide.
agenda slide. Correct, right.
Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. So as I was saying earlier, thanks for that, Nidhi. So as I mentioned earlier, this is the agenda slide where I've got everything that we will cover today listed, ranging from what personality is and the factors that affect our personalities, as well as the importance of personality development. And we will also understand the desirable traits of a good personality, and the things that you must consider for developing yourself into an individual with a good personality as you progress towards a working career. The second part of this presentation will help you understand knowledge management from an organization's perspective, the different types of knowledge management and the importance. And we will also look at a few examples of the way organizations manage their knowledge management. Over here, we're just looking at some basic rules that you should keep in mind for our session today. Simple things that will allow us to focus on what we need to take away and will allow us to discuss more effectively. So please mute your cell phones if you have them around you. Remember that we're all sharing and asking questions based on our understanding. So we should respect whatever each and everyone thinks and has to say and share with us. And finally, also wait for your turn to ask your questions. As Nidhi said, you will all get your turn to ask questions. So let's just remember these things. Now I'm going to move into the presentation part of it, beginning with personality. So before I dive into this subject, I would like to ask, would any of you like to share what you understand by the term personality? If you'd like, you could type your responses in the chat window. Is that right, Nidhi?
They can type.
Yes. Okay. So if whatever your understanding might be of the topic or of the term personality, you could put your responses there. Okay, so I see some responses coming in. Personality is a person's inner traits, how we present ourselves and what we are as a person. Great, yes. Anything else that somebody would like to add before I move on? Personality means things that define you. Yes, perfect. And also how you present yourself in front of people. And a combination of multiple qualities. Thank you for that. So yes, all of these put together do form our personality. And these factors determine what our personality type is. So let's look at one definition of personality. Now, personality is an organized combination of attributes, which are your features or your characteristics, your motives, value, and behaviors that are unique to each individual, and it persists over time. So our personality is what makes us unique individuals. Each of us has a peculiar pattern of enduring our characteristics, which are mostly short-term and long-term characteristics. Some change, some do not change, some we carry for life. And the manner in which you interact with other individuals and the world around you. So it is formed through your early childhood experiences as well. And other perspectives then emerge as a result of several experiences, which include the situations and your surroundings that you were brought up in and you've been living with. Now, I quickly wanted to share this with you. Many years ago, and by many years, I mean 23 years ago, that only makes me realize how old I am now. But back then, my mother had decided to send my younger brother and me to a personality development workshop, which is during our school summer holidays. So I attended this workshop, which lasted for about a week. And I felt it had, after attending this workshop at the end of this workshop after a week, I felt that I had turned into the best 12-year-old girl that the world had ever seen. Because back then, I thought that I had mastered how to speak well. how to sit and stand properly, the correct posture when you're out in a public setting, how to eat at the dining table with a fork and a spoon and a knife, and all the table manners that we were taught, as well as all the good manners in general, including our please and thank yous. So I thought I was ready to conquer the world. Now, in all fairness, I did learn a few things that have stayed with me till today, and I'm thankful for those. But I realized that it was all a very tiny part of what has formed my personality today. So everything else after that, that has happened in my life until now, every single day has shaped me as a person and created this, helped me create my own personality, which I'm able to show here today, also as I am talking to you. So when you're out of school, and when you're you eagerly look forward to your college life, you get into college, you do your college, you pursue your college degrees, you pursue your MBAs, as a lot of you are doing now, and then you get into your work life settings. You have the initial phase of your career where you're very excited to work your first job. um, it's it's all very exciting, and you're trying to take in everything as it comes, and learning with each of these phases of your life. You're learning different things, you're learning different ways of interaction with different people in different settings. The way you behaved in college would have altered, your behaviors would have altered, your perceptions would have altered, your perspectives would have altered once you get into a work life setting, because corporate settings are more formal. At workplace, you're expected to behave a little differently than you were in college, or maybe a lot differently than how you were in college. How you interact with your peers changes versus how you interacted with your friends in college. So as you progress through your work life, also maybe you change jobs or you get promoted within your organization into a different role. You learn a lot more things, which again keep shaping your personality. uh, you are given opportunities, you're given opportunities to interact with your team members, you're interacting with your bosses, you're writing emails, you're making presentations, you're taking part in extracurricular activities at the workplace. So all these different opportunities presented to you throughout these different phases help you shape the shape up your image that you want to project to everyone around you, whether it is at your workplace or outside of your workplace. So all of this determines how your personality will be, and the personality that you would like to project as an individual. Now, as I say this, what I mean is that basically you have factors that influence your personality. So on this slide, we're going to talk about the influencers of your personality development, starting with heredity. So this refers to the influences on your personality that you are born with. Okay, so hopefully you all have, I was able to complete the heredity part, um, where I talked about how heredity influences your personality, uh, and that you are born with. So because these are your genetic factors, there's nothing that one can do to change these traits. And they would, and so these include things like your temperament, and genetics also determine how someone looks. So that was the last point that I discussed in heredity. And then I moved on. So moving on to the next point, which was environment. Uh, so environment is basically the nurturing aspect of our lives. And it is the type of environment in which we live and grow up. I'm going to take a quick pause to check if Nidhi, you can still hear me, because I want to make sure I'm not talking to myself
Yes,
again.
yes, yes, Ragini.
Okay.
We are absolutely able to hear you now. You are
Okay.
fine. Yeah, yeah.
Great. Thank you. All right. Okay. So now your environment will include all the places where you spend a lot of time, which include your home, your school, your work, or other places. Uh, Other places could mean, maybe you've joined some other classes, maybe um, instrument classes, music classes, dance classes, the gym. So any place that you spend a considerable amount of your time, um, every day will influence how you forms your environment and influences your personality. Other environmental factors that influence your personality include your language and the religion that you follow, and so on. And finally, we have the factor which is your situations. Now, situations are basically your experiences. I'm sorry. Situations are basically your experiences that you deal with, and everything that you experience right from your college life, your now that you're pursuing your MBA course, what you experience over there along with your peers, your fellow students, your professors, as well as when you progress into your working life, what you experience as part of your work is what will determine your situations. So all of these have a great impact and influence your personality development process in a big way. So I talked about situations, and we discussed how situations impact our personality. Now, before I move on to the next slide, I quickly wanted to share this with you. Now, many years ago, by many I mean about 23 years ago, which is when I was in school, my, uh, my mother asked my brother, my younger brother, and me to attend a personality development workshop. And it was a short workshop. It just lasted for a week. This was during our summer holidays. She just wanted to keep us busy. So along with our computer classes, another thing we got to do was attend a personality development workshop. Now, I attended this workshop, and at the end of it, after a week, I felt like I had turned into the best 12-year-old girl in the world. And back then I thought so, because I felt I had mastered the techniques to speak well. I had learned how to maintain right posture, how to sit properly, how to stand properly in a public setting, how to eat properly in a public setting or at home at the dining table, using my fork and knife and spoon right. Because there are techniques to doing each of these things right. So when I had learned these little things, I thought I was ready to conquer the world. I was already so grown up, I knew it all. And in all fairness, I did learn a few things that have stayed with me till now. I have, so I won't say that I didn't pick up anything, but how you dress up, how you talk, how you present yourself are the first impressions. And they are a small part of what define your personality and what form your personality. So everything else that I have experienced after that, right up to now, right through my college life and through my working life, from right up from my first job when I was a trainer, which required me to have different skills. And um, so when you're out of college and you take up your first job, and then you get into a training role, you're, as much as I was excited, I realized that I would have to have build up a whole different level of confidence, because I need to present to an entire classroom of trainees in front of me. So that job required me to have different skills, great communication skills and great presentation skills, as well as know my subject well, because I couldn't falter when I was talking to my trainees, because they would have questions about anything that I would discuss with them. Then I moved on. From there, I moved on to a different role. And when I was interviewing for this role at Eton as a community analyst, the first question that was, well, not the first question, but one of the important questions that was thrown at me by my interviewer back then was whether I'd be able to cope with a desk job, because in this new role, I would just be required to sit and analyze a lot of information and data, and of course interact with people, but it would be very different from a classroom setting where I had the controls, and I could I could decide how I wanted to interact with my trainees and my the students in my classroom. All of that changed the moment I took up my new role, and I had to um, so the interaction levels reduced, the energy levels reduced. So the interviewer back then asked me whether I'd be able to cope with that sort of a change. And my answer, of course, was yes. But I did have to work a lot towards, then tuning myself to the requirements of my new job. So I'd be able to sit, to be able to study, analyze, understand the requirements, and work to be successful in this new role. And after that, again, I had to move. I decided, not that I had to, but I decided I wanted to move into another role, which was presented as an opportunity to me back then as an instructional designer. Now that role again was very different. um, and I did not have much understanding of that role. But we constantly we have to remember that every opportunity that we're presented with in terms of work, um, or projects, will present us with an opportunity to also develop our personality, our overall personality, and our understanding. So I had to take up another course, complete an entire 1 year program online to be able to perform effectively in that new role as an instructional designer. So what I'm trying to say is, at each opportunity or every change that takes place in your life, you will subconsciously be developing yourself a little differently to um, to make your skills and your persona more relevant to your current job and your current situation. Again, after that, when when other things, when other factors, such as it could be your married life, it could be you know your dating life, maybe for now, or your working life, um, or other experiences, maybe some unpleasant experiences, some traumatic experiences, or the loss of someone in your life, will also constantly keep changing who you are as a person and how you deal with situations and interact with people. So all of these are influencers of your personality. Now, one would think all of this is all right, but why is it so important? I mean, when I was in college, I thought I was great, and why do I need to really work on myself? But again, after that, as I said, you are constantly going to be presented with different opportunities. Now, if you want to grab these opportunities and be successful, and you want to be where you aspire to be today eventually, you will have to keep developing your personality, and you will have to work on different aspects of your personality. So in this process, um, you will have to build your self confidence, and these are benefits. As you keep developing, you keep improving your self confidence, you keep improving your credibility. So you get more confident about your job, about your interactions, about what you're doing and how you do it. um, and then your credibility. So when we say credibility, we're talking about how your peers perceive you, how your fellow students perceive you, how your professors perceive you, what your peers at work will think of you when you get into your working life, and what your higher ups as well as your managers and the upper management thinks of you. Whether they can trust you with the work that you are given, whether you will be able to successfully accomplish your tasks, all forms a part of your credibility. So you will gain more credibility as you get more confident and as you keep working on your personality. You will improve your leadership skills. So as part of work, when you work on projects now through your MBA program, and in your during your working life, when you work as part of teams, smaller teams, bigger teams, along with your managers, and cross functionally outside of your teams with other people, you will get opportunities where you will be able to present your leadership skills and your leadership qualities to execute work that you're entrusted with. So that will help you develop your personality too. And it's a and so these become your factors as well as benefits as part of the process. you also get to develop your interpersonal skills. By interpersonal skills, we mean how you interact with one another, whether that is in your college, whether it's in your whether it's at work, or whether it's outside of work and college in your personal settings. And then your curiosity. Now you would wonder why curiosity, but curiosity, your curiosity is built because the more people you meet from different backgrounds, from different settings, from different working backgrounds, with different experiences, from different cultural backgrounds, you get to learn more and you get to understand more, and that helps you get more creative and more innovative with what you do, because you're able to apply all of this information into what you do as part of your projects, as part of your day-to-day work, as part of your day-to-day routine. It helps in building your curiosity and understanding and getting more creative and innovative. And finally, your communication skills, which is what we talked about earlier, which is which so interpersonal skills forms a part of your communication skills, but communication skills could be verbal as well as non-verbal. So verbal is how you're talking and how you're interacting and how you're presenting to an audience, versus your non-verbal skills where you're writing. So how you're writing, maybe you're writing thesis, or you will be writing your findings, or you're writing your you're writing for your projects now, or whether you write emails when you get into work. All of this forms part of your communication skills, which will get better as you get more exposed and keep working on your communication skills. So now, we'll talk about the features of a good personality. What's endearing about a good personality? Now, to build a good personality, these following traits that you see, that I show you on screen, are very important, which include your character traits. Now, in your character traits at workplace, they will one of the most important things that is looked at is your integrity. How diligently and how truthfully and honestly you deliver what jobs you are trusted with. And then your discipline and dedication towards your work. And next are your behavioral traits. So your interpersonal communication skills and leadership qualities um, um, form your behavioral traits. So how you, as we talked in the previous slide, how you deal with one another, how you talk to people, how you talk to your peers and your and everyone around you, forms your interpersonal skills, which is a direct exhibition of your behavioral traits, as well as your leadership qualities, how confident you are about taking on new tasks, new roles, new responsibilities, and also how you manage your time. Time management forms a very critical part of your behavioral traits at workplace, because everything is so project driven and everything is so time bound, because every time you will be entrusted with with a responsibility which will have a time limit, and you will be asked to deliver that within that time. So how you manage your time effectively, um, along with all of this, forms a part of your behavioral traits. And finally, we have the attitude traits. So in attitude traits, we are talking about your positive attitude towards any situation or any job that you're entrusted with. And you want to make sure that you make it a win-win situation for yourself as well as everybody else that you're working with, whether it's a team of people that you're working on a project with, or whether it is whether you're creating a win-win situation for the person who has entrusted you with a project to complete successfully. And also synergize. So by synergize, we mean how you are able to successfully present an outcome, or have successfully bring out results for of any job that you are entrusted with, or any task that you are given, when you work along with others. So by others, I would mean that would usually be your peers or your bosses. When you're working along with them, how you can make how you can make the best use out of everything that you gain from a group setting and with working along with one another to make sure that the outcome is the best result that you have provided. So those form your attitude traits, and these are crucial when you're at a workplace. Now, after you've done all of this, it eventually brings you to one point, that is building your persona. So building your persona is all of what we have discussed up till now, and all of those factors and all of the benefits that you get out of through the process of personality development. So what you see listed on these slides, on this slide, are all points that you can consider to help you build your personality. Now, obviously, a good persona will make you undeniably attractive to everyone that surrounds you. So you want to make sure you are your best at all times. But how do you do this? Now, what I have listed here on this slide, starting with evaluating yourself, is in the order that I would think is the most important. So, if you want to develop your personality, the most important thing for yourself, for you to do, is to evaluate yourself, to understand where you currently are today. And I will talk a little bit about this on the next slide, which is the final part of this section of our presentation. But evaluating yourself must be the most critical part of this process. Now, once you've evaluated yourself and you've figured out the things that you need to do to develop yourself, all the various aspects of your personality that you may want to fine tune and you may need to work on, and you will chalk out a plan for yourself for the things that you need to do, maybe courses that you need to do, workshops you need to attend, people you need to meet, things you need to understand better, maybe choose mentors for yourself. You will do all of these things once you have evaluated yourself and understand what your requirements to build your personality are. But throughout this, an important aspect is giving yourself and your body the time. Once you are out of your college, and now if you pursue when you pursue your MBA, once you're out of this and you get into a workplace setting, as much as it is exciting initially, as you keep getting entrusted with more and more roles and responsibilities and more work, and you keep learning more, it could get to you at some point, and you may feel like you're stressed. Also, you may get so engrossed in performing all of this, in paying attention to all of this, that you actually forget that your body needs the time to rest and rejuvenate. So for you to be able to do that, you must ensure that you're giving yourself enough time to maybe practice yoga, meditate, exercise, work out, so that your body does not feel lethargic. It is always energetic. You're always up to performing tasks, and also you are able to give your optimum. So the moment your body feels at its best, your mind will be able to function effectively, because there is a science behind that a lot of hormones are released when you exercise or when you do yoga or when you meditate, which are directly related to how your behavior is. So you will have to so you can take a look at the various points on this slide and see what's important, and you can decide the order that's necessary for you to be able to evaluate yourself and build your personality. Now, this final slide of the personality development section is basically just a recommendation for me. And I think you must spend some time doing this if you haven't already, which is to visit the 16personalities.com website. This website will allow you to take a test, which will give you a comprehensive result of and a pretty precise result of the type of personality that you are, and which areas of your personality that are great, which areas do you need to work on, and then that will allow you to decide what it is that you need to do next to build a great personality. And I'm going to leave you with this final quote for this section, which is, your relationship with yourself will determine the relationship that you will have with others, which includes your co-workers eventually. So your relationship with yourself will only be great when you feel good about yourself and you feel that you have developed your personality to be the best person that you can. With that, I will move into the next topic, which is knowledge management. And I will here talk to you about what knowledge management is at the workplace. Now, knowledge management is vast, as I mentioned at the beginning, and we are going to look at what's important and critical about knowledge management um, at the workplace. So first, let's understand that knowledge management, what knowledge management is. So the definition is here, which states that knowledge management is the conscious process of defining, structuring, retaining, and the sharing of knowledge and experience of employees within an organization. Now, organizations that take full advantage of knowledge management strategies are better able to um, build themselves, to change themselves, to adapt to changing markets and offer better services to their customers, as well as increase their own efficiency of their workforce and their output. So that's knowledge management at workplace. Now, what types of knowledge management do we have at workplace? when we when we talk about types of knowledge at workplace, there are two different types of knowledge. One is explicit. By explicit, I mean knowledge that is readily available at your workplace. So anything that you see in the form of FAQs once you're in your workplace setting, or courses that are given to you, that you will take online, or whether you attend classroom trainings or workshops, or how to documents, all of these form the explicit knowledge that is readily available for you to access at your workplace. The other type of knowledge, which is a little more tricky and a little more difficult to capture, is your tacit knowledge. Tacit knowledge is basically it's nothing but knowledge that you gain over a period of time throughout your working experience. Now, that knowledge may not necessarily be documented. How you perform your day-to-day work, what you do, what the important facets of your work are, what are daily facets of that work, what are weekly facets of that work, what are crucial facets of your work. All of these are known to you, but may not necessarily be displayed or stored anywhere for anybody else to refer to. And that forms part of your tacit knowledge. And tacit knowledge becomes important because this knowledge is with you, and maybe it will be required by someone in the future. Or let's say if you move into another role within the organization, or you take up a job change, or somebody else moves into a different role or moves out of the organization and you need to take up their role. This knowledge that is stored within someone's mind, within their own brain, is tacit knowledge, which also needs to be captured. And bigger organizations started realizing the need for capturing this tacit knowledge a while ago, where about more than a little over a decade ago, organizations realized that this knowledge needs to be they needed to ensure that this knowledge stays with the organization, so that the next person coming in to take on that role or responsibility is able to understand the nitty-gritties of these job roles that they have been designated with. And if that knowledge is lost, it takes a lot of time and effort and resources to be able to bring that new person on board with all that information that they need to have. So it's best. So organizations realize that it's best to have this knowledge captured, so that anybody who needs to understand something that somebody else has performed and how it has been performed, it's readily available for them to access. So that forms your tacit knowledge. Now, having talked about the two types of knowledge, um, the importance of knowledge management becomes quite obvious, that it boosts the efficiency of employees and in turn of the organization itself. Now, some of the benefits of knowledge management, as I talked about earlier, are increased efficiency. For an organization, people are able to perform their jobs better because they know how to perform their jobs better. There is faster and better decision making at different levels. There is increased collaboration between people, so you're able to interact and you're able to reach out to people more easily and get your doubts clarified, get answers to your questions. And then there is also the organization is able to build their own repository of knowledge for organizational knowledge. And then there is optimization of the processes of onboarding and training, because there is all this knowledge has been captured. It becomes very easy to bring someone else and allow them to understand what their roles and responsibilities are and what is expected of them as part of their day-to-day jobs, as well as training becomes easy through this process. And finally, there is increased employee satisfaction, because as an employee, you understand your roles and responsibilities and your job so well that you feel lesser frustration while performing your job, and there is more satisfaction. And as a result, you don't feel the need to move out or move elsewhere, because you want to stay on and do better at your job and get better and get more creative and effective. So job retention and employee retention becomes easier for the organizations. So at every level, with every benefit, there is benefit to the employee personally, as well as the organization and teams on whole. Now, with that, I will finally talk about some of the tools and best practices that some organizations use or have employed, depending on their needs. So their strategies will differ and the tools that they employ will be differ, and not all organizations will have all of the tools and strategies implemented. So the simpler ones are things such as brainstorming and idea capture, which can happen during team meetings, or as you start working, you will realize that you're required to get into team huddles where smaller day-to-day discoveries are made. You're learning, and maybe new ideas are captured during these brainstorming sessions. Then you have your peer assist, where you're sitting along with your peers and discussing, and you're learning about their work, and you're getting help from them for your work. Through this, you may be able to create documents for an understanding of what has been discussed and how roles and jobs have to be performed. Next is your collaborative physical workspace. So a lot of organizations in the recent past have started doing this. I know that one function within Eaton had also attempted this, where I worked. Within the IT function, they had collaborative physical workspaces where they allowed. So there was no designated seat provided to people, and people could sit wherever they needed. It allowed them to either sit in settings where they were able to, which enabled them to sit and interact with people, meet with people, and learn more from them in a physical environment while they were at their desk performing their own jobs. There could also be designated areas for collaborative workspaces, which could be separate meeting rooms or separate spaces that are called collaborative working rooms. Then there are knowledge cafes, which is very similar to the idea of collaborative workspaces, but knowledge cafes are more informal, where people meet physically and talk to one another, and they may not necessarily be from the same team or same function, but it could simply be their interest and curiosity about another person's job and what they do, and about another function, where they can sit together and discuss and enhance their understanding of the various functions within the organization. Then we have communities of practice, which is what I have done very extensively during my tenure with Eaton. So communities of practice are usually collaborative workspaces where people from different functions, so by functions I mean people from the HR team, the HR function, the finance team, the finance department, the IT department, the engineering department, the learning solutions department, they are all able to post their information and knowledge, and they are able to discuss and chat in a real time basis on a daily basis. And this is helpful in settings where people are not in one like, for example, I worked for Eton University, where some of our team was based in India, and we had people we were working with in the US, along with in the US. Now, while we could not work with in real time at the same time every day, it was possible for us to share our information together through these collaborative workspaces, which were called communities of practice online. So everything that we shared, all the knowledge, all the documents, all the information that we had was stored online. Sorry, in the platform which is called communities of practice. Then there are online libraries for different topics within organizations, and there are team sites. These could use different technologies and tools. Like at Eaton, we had communities of practice and team sites based on SharePoint. And then there are knowledge bases as well as blogs written by your peers and other people at work, which will help you understand your organization a little better and things that people do better. Then there are expertise locators, which allow people within organizations to connect with experts within a field from their organization, who may be placed in a different office, in a different location, or in a different country altogether. But you're able to locate them through the expertise locator provided by your organization and connect with them to interact and enhance your understanding and knowledge about different subjects. And finally, there are collaborative virtual workspaces, which are very similar to physical workspaces. The only difference being that virtual workspaces allow you to interact virtually in a virtual setting, which is mostly web-based, and you can interact with people there to to learn, to get knowledge and enhance your understanding about different subjects. These are again just some of the tools and best practices. There are many other tools that are used by organizations, but these were some of the broader tools and more commonly used, which I thought would be of use, which would be of help for you to understand the concept and the idea and the best practices in knowledge management. With that, I come to the end of my presentation about personality development. And Nidhi, over to you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Ragini. Our students are at a stage, where understanding personality types, how to shape their personality, shape their behavior is very important, because
Right.
immediately after PGDM, they will start working, they will appear for placement drives. So it is very
Yes.
important for them to understand the value and meaning.
Right.
But I'm afraid we are running out of time, and we cannot take question and answers. Just quickly, one question I would like to ask, which is very frequently asked by all of them, that since they are freshers, and they are not sure that how they should evaluate themselves, what should be the start point, how they need to evaluate, and what are the to-do list for them that they must have while they are deciding to, or while they are in the process of shaping their personality.
Okay, so in my personality development section, that's a very valid question, and that's a question all of us have had at
Yes,
some point in our lives, right? And
absolutely. Yes.
especially so when you're about to step into a workplace setting very soon. So yes, which is why I said that the sooner you begin, the better, because the exposure you have to all these platforms. At this point will give you time to better yourselves and to improve yourselves in areas where you feel you could do a lot better. Now,
Right.
as I said, the first step for that, to evaluate yourself, would be a great place to start would definitely be to visit the 16personalities.com website, because it's a very interesting test on how you think, how you behave, how you react in different scenarios. And once you have keyed in your responses there, once all of you do that, you will there are various questions under various sections that are analyzing different aspects of your traits and your behaviors. So every response you give, there is no right and wrong over there, but every response you give will tell you what sort of a person you are. It will give you a better understanding and a better perspective of the personality that you currently are, and that will help you understand. And the test will also tell you that certain areas that you could improve on. So all of these put together, all of this information put together can be a very great, very good starting point for everyone to understand what it is that they need to work on to get better,
Right.
and to understand where you want to be, and then to be able to understand how you want to achieve it. So all of that comes later. Then you can draw up a plan for your individual plan for yourself to say, next, this is what I want to do because this is what I want to improve
Right.
in this area of my personality. So I would definitely recommend going to the 16personalities.com website at least once and taking that test. It's available online and it's free for everyone. So there's no harm done, and it gives you a great perspective. You will be surprised at how much you learn about yourself, which are there. There are traits that are subconsciously there in your mind that you're aware of, but you don't realize on a day-to-day basis. But it allows you to look into those, think about those a little more deeply, and then think about what you want to do about each of these behaviors and traits.
Right, right. Absolutely. I think students will go, and I think personality development and knowledge management individually, they are very, very broad topic, and there's too much to talk on that. So I think we
Yes.
will have one more session which will be just to, address the Q&A of students first, because of time. We have actually
Time limit.
another session lined up immediately after
Okay.
this. So,
Okay.
so on that note, we will just move ahead. In the end, I would just like to sum up that, appearances make impressions, but it is the personality that makes an impact. That is what we have learned in today's session also. All
Yes.
right, then, students, stay tuned for the next session. Thank you so much, Ragini, for taking time out and sharing your valuable experiences with us.
Thank you everyone for attending once again today. And I'm sorry about the technical glitches, but I hope, barring that, if we put that aside, you have been able to get a little bit from this session that will stay as takeaways for you and help you perform better in the future.
Certainly.
Thank you, Nidhi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Students, stay tuned for the next session right